Welcome to the Car Podcast, where I'm gonna reflect about multiple things while I'm driving to work. Let's see. Oh no, I don't wanna get the green light. I started reading a book about business of specialty coffee, and I was looking for a book where I could find some knowledge or a bit more knowledge about a specialty coffee shop because I'm working in a specialty coffee shop and I want to know more insights, more perspectives. And I read a book about it long ago from the 3FE owner. I remember it's Colin Harmon, I think it was. It's a red book. I really recommend it. And that book was really, really nice, really interesting. All the information he gives is really accurate, really timeless. Timeless? Maybe timeless is the word. And this book I just started reading, it just let me plain. Maybe I already learned quite a bit about the cafe I'm working, so I don't need to know more. And I just decided to leave the book aside, come back to it next time I finish the book. I decided to start after this, maybe in the future when I need that information. But at the moment, I need other type of information, and I start this book that just reading a couple of pages. I got sucked in and I feel energized by it. I feel like I want to read this book, and in a couple of paragraphs, it is talking about a situation I'm currently living. So that's kind of a thing that I will call it follow your instinct. I was reading a book that I didn't like. I was forcing myself to read it because I thought I will find some useful tips and information for the work like for my work, and I didn't feel it to keep going, and I decided to pick another book, and this book was about communication. In a couple of pages, the book just told me what I needed to know, and what I need to know is this book is going to give you the information you're seeking for. So that's what I did, and I started to just read two pages, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, and it's just like the way that current authors are writing their books about their experiences in life. It's really interesting because I like when somebody share their life experiences in a way that you feel like it could be yourself. And probably that's how it's been in these kind of books about self-development and like a topic in particular. And I'm grateful to find that to found that book. And I found that book through a podcast from attorney from the United States that is also involved in learning and teaching communication skills. As he works as an attorney, he needs to use it a lot. So the book of this attorney is called The Next Conversation, and the book I'm reading at the moment is called Super Communicator. Both of them are about communication, and I think it's important for me because I love being able to communicate myself in a proper way, as I'm a person that is really empathic and very, very aware of other people's feelings. In that matter, I tend to be people pleaser, which is not good for me and is not good for the other person as well. So that's why I started reading this book. I really recommend taking the self-development journey and any path you're feeling you're struggling with. If you're feeling you're struggling with organization, take that path. If you feel you're struggling with productivity, take that path, like that learning path. If you're feeling you need people skills, take that path, and also get like a front face to public role. And stick to that job for a couple of years, and you will develop a really good people skill. But also, what makes a difference is when you take a path of self-development, do it mindfully. Don't do it as, if I do this, I'll acquire this ability or this skill. No, because it's not gonna happen like that. Oh, fuck! Another traffic jam today. Thank God it's earlier than yesterday. Hey, bye, 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 bye. Slow down. So we probably have more time today to talk about. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I will have no more things to say. But yeah, the importance of doing things mindfully and being present every moment of your life. It's something that I find out that not many people is doing. It's easy to lose the awareness of on the present moment. It's really easy to get sucked into stress, anxiety, rush, and those kind of feelings and emotions that drive you out from the current moment, and let yourself get carried by whatever feeling you're feeling. And it's really important to be aware, because you don't know what you might do, and probably you might regret what you do if you do something. So find a way to be able to stay present in the moment. And I always feel like talking about these things, people will say like, oh, that's easy to say, or that's kind of like really spiritual and very hippie way of living. But actually, it's very important, because no matter what you're doing, no matter if you're like a CEO or you are a person who cleans the streets, if you let yourself carry away by your thoughts and your judgments, you are walking the path of unhappiness. You're walking the path of anger, like a path of negativity. Probably that's the best way to explain it. Traffic jam in the morning. I love the traffic jam in the morning. Just a little bit of peanut butter, and that'll be amazing. Um, so, awareness, sip of coffee. Look, drinking coffee, it's kind of like mindful. But don't drink that shit of coffee pots. Drink proper, nice, well-sourced coffee. And it tastes really nice, even if you drink it with milk, with sugar, with syrups, whatever. It's going to taste different than commercial burnt coffee. Is this very judgmental from my side? Probably. It is very judgmental. I have nothing against other coffee. It's just like my personal taste that I don't like it, and I feel better with good tasting coffee. But if you find pleasure on drinking your Nespresso pots, that's what you have to drink, because that's what you need. La policía, the policia. Ha! Get wrecked. Poor guy. That's not a way to start a Tuesday. Anyway, what I'm talking about when drinking coffee is like when you're present of the flavor, you're going back to where you are. When you even like not talking about coffee, if you're stuck in a traffic jam and you just observe around you and just describe what you see, and if you see somebody doing a maneuver with a car that is not too safe, and you describe it as that person is a jerk, or that person is just like something, that's a judgment. If you describe it as that movement is not too safe, you are taking away, or you are taking out the judgmental part, and that is making you more aware of yourself. And that's very important to know what your intrusive thoughts are and what your useful thoughts are, because then in a more complicated situation you will recognize as I give the example of the book, you will recognize your instinct thoughts. So I was reading a book it was not giving me things, like giving me excitement about it. So I decided to put it down and read another book. And if I weren't aware of that intrusive thought, I will be like, oh, I have to read this book because I need it. I need to know all this information for my job. And in fact, you don't know what you need or what is better for you, because sometimes we think what is better for us is something we really want, but that doesn't mean we really need it. And that's the thing I find out lately. I don't know, after 8 years or 10 years of struggling, or even 15 years of struggling from teenagehood to near 30s, or like past 30s actually, that sometimes what I need is not what I want, or on the other way around. Sometimes what I want is not what I need. But I think it's the same thing, but said the other, like just changing the order of the words. Just I put you in situation. If you want a red car with a certain amount of horsepower and it costs you a lot of money, it covers your needs, of transport, but maybe you could fulfill those needs with less money. And that's the difference of I want and I need. Sometimes we need to endure situations even if we don't want, and that's the key. You don't want that situation, but life just brought you that situation, and you need to learn endurance and resilience from those kind of situations. So that's why sometimes wanting and needing is completely different. And sometimes we mix up needing and wanting. So in fact, what you are saying is, I want somebody, like I need my partner next to me. And in fact is, you want your partner next to you, but you establish that as a need. So if you can't live with that person next to you, you created a need that you actually don't need. What you actually need is learn to not be needy, let's say, in a way, like talking about needs and necessities. So it's kind of like, because I'm drinking coffee at the moment, and I probably go back to coffee all the time because I actually work in a coffee shop as well. And everybody in the morning needs a coffee. You need a coffee in the morning. It's just like a need. It's not that I want coffee, because if I want a coffee, that means I could live without a coffee. But nobody can live without a coffee in the morning. Nobody. And then there's those people that they don't drink coffee. Is like, okay, that's why you're not happy. That's why you're not happy. You need a coffee. Just drink a nice coffee, and you'll see how happy you'll become. Just like after the first sip, it's just like magic. Jokes aside, I understand the needing of coffee in the morning, but actually we should be able to live without coffee. It's just like, don't be dependent on something. Don't be dependent on your partner or on your parents, on your friends, on your job. Like when we are dependent on something, that becomes a weakness, and over time that weakness start to dig a hole in our morale. And when our morale is delicate, if we fear losing that thing we are depending on, that's the weakness I'm talking about, then we are giving the power to something outside of us to decide how we feel, or how is our mood on that given day or through our lives. So this means we should be fully independent, but doesn't mean we have to do everything on our own. So it's good to depend a little bit on partners and parents and friends and people and stuff like that. you depend on your job to pay the bills, but doesn't mean you can't find another job or you can find a way to get income to pay the bills. And then, like, if we jump into economics, the way we think about money and stuff like that is another fear. I personally have that fear. Every time I become aware of my finances and I feel they are not good, or I would like to be more buoyant about it and have no stress from that section of my life, I have fear. I'm scared of it. And I admit it's not easy to manage that thing, but what is important is to narrow down your real needs in terms of money. What I mean with this is not just pay rent, bills, and stuff. I mean, you are allowed to get things like you want to get. That's why you work hard. You are allowed to go out for food. You can get an expensive phone or an expensive car, but you can't have every expensive thing, for example. So, but basically, what I'm saying is getting like have clear your priorities. And a priority is not like a basic need. It's not like I need clothes or food. A priority also means a good phone is more important for me than a good car, or a house near my job is more important for me than a garden, or things like that. Just like be clear, you can't have everything. You can't have a house near your job and a big backyard on the back to do barbecues. And maybe you are one of the lucky person that have both things, because your job happens to be literally next door, or literally you own a business on the bottom of your house that allows you for that. But probably there's some other areas in your life that you have to decide, is this more important for me or the other thing. And if you want to find loopholes to what I'm saying, you're very welcome, but that won't make you happy. You'll be right. You might be happy for 2 seconds, but when you go there, you are right. Then what? Simple. So we need things. We need to make difference between what we need and what we want. We have to set our priorities, because even though you can have all the money in the world and you can buy all the expensive things, you don't have all the time to enjoy those expensive things. You might have the title of I own this, but have you enjoyed everything you have? Maybe not. I love traffic in Ireland. It's just people so nice driving. Like when there's a traffic jam, there's always like in a junction. There's always like you go now like one from one side, one from the other side, and stuff like that. And people allow you to go into the lane or get out of your lane so nicely. And I hope that is not lost in time. So that's going back to become aware of yourself, of the things that makes you feel anxious or makes you feel out of the baseline. And the baseline should always be calm, not happy, not sad, just calm, content, or content, maybe content, like the previous level of happy. And yeah, that's it for the today's episode. Thank you for listening to all my crazy stuff, and I hope you hear me the next time. Bye bye.